Hey guys, John here. Sit back, relax, go on ahead, get yourself a cold one if you want to. I have Rossie Mccree with me, actress Rossie Mccree, that is. And they can't see you yet. She's over there waving, she's having a good time, but it's okay. But, anyways, I have her here with me. We're going to be talking about Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I can't wait to talk about this movie. This is the first time I saw this movie, but we'll dive into that in a minute. But while you're waiting, please go on ahead, go over to Spotify, go over to Apple Podcasts, rate us over there. Also do on Good Pods as well. And go on ahead, rate us, do all that stuff. And we're going to be starting now. All right. And hello, movie lovers. Like I said before, we're actually reviewing Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. This movie came out in 1967. This movie, in case anybody doesn't know what this film is about, it's about a guy named Joanna Drayton, a 23-year-old white woman returns from her Hawaiian vacation to her parents' home in San Francisco with Dr. John Prentice, a 37-year-old black widower. The couple became engaged after a 10-day whirlwind romance. And so now John and her have to go on ahead and face the parents. So this is a movie that I haven't seen before. Of course, this is our spotlight to Sidney Poitier. I haven't seen a single film of his, so this is a brand new experience for me. But this movie is so good. And also, too, I want to mention this. When you're looking at this film, it's so risky for back in the day in the 1960s because of the fact that they were dealing with a lot of racism. Not like we're not dealing with that now, but still, it was a lot more in your face. There were certain things that black people were not allowed to do and certain things that they were allowed to do and stuff like that. But when you look at it, society as a whole, it's definitely a risque kind of film that was ahead of its time. And also, too, this also won the Academy Award for the actress that was in this movie, though, too. Right, Rossie?
Yes. Katharine Hepburn, who plays Joanna's mother, won Best Actress from this film. And the film was nominated for like 10 Academy Awards. One was Best Picture. So it's a really good film, an all-star cast. You have Spencer Tracy, who's well-known in Hollywood, classic Hollywood. He's done a lot of films with Katharine Hepburn, actually. You have Sidney Poitier, who plays John Wade. What is it? Prentice?
Yeah, Princess.
And Katharine Houghton, who plays Joey Drayton, and Isabel Sanford, who we all know as Weezy from the 1980s show. The Jeffersons. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, the Jeffersons.
She plays Tilly. Beah Richards, who plays Mrs. Prentice. Roy Glenn, who plays Mr. Prentice, John's mom and dad. So this was a great film, and I love the way that they approached the conversation of race.
Me too.
In this film.
I definitely like it. To be honest with you, I like this a lot better than Guess Who, which is the Ashton Kutcher movie, which is also a remake to this film, which also starred Bernie Mac.
Right.
And we talked about this earlier before because we actually had like a little sit down before we actually got a chance to talk about this. But I didn't like that adaptation of Guess Who for that remake. Right. It made me feel uncomfortable and stuff like that. I didn't really feel like it captured what this movie is. And this is my first experience actually seeing this movie for the first time. You can actually rent this for $4 on YouTube if you want to. Yes. But I like how smooth John is when we get first introduced to him. He's like a young Denzel Washington in the 1960s, if you think about it. If this was Denzel in the 1960s, he has this certain swag about him, this certainty that everything's going to work out in the end because of the fact that they both love each other so much, and that he's willing to put everything on the line, whether he's going to get married to her, whether the blessing from her mom or not. Right. And everything, but he still winds up honoring the mother and the father first before pursuing anything else. And I like how John puts up right off the bat. He goes up to the father. He said, "Look, I'm a doctor. I was a doctor in Harvard. I've done X amount of stuff. I have a lot of rewards and things like that. And of course, the
Right.
father's like, oh, yeah, okay, whatever. You're basically just throwing anything out there,
Right.
And so he does his research. The father goes on ahead, does his research on him. And everything that John said to him is word for word, verbatim
Yeah.
on what he said. So the father actually has some respect for John for coming
Right.
clean about his background versus the Ashton Kutcher character who was in debt, who was actually having
Right.
things to hide. So I
Right.
respect John's character more than I do the Ashton Kutcher's character from
Right.
Guess Who. And this one, I felt, yeah, there's a lot of there's comedy in this, especially
Yes.
with the shock whenever they first get introduced, and this whole entire thing happens within one night of the whole entire
Yes.
deal.
Right.
And I like the look on the mother's face. She's like, "You didn't tell me he was a black man." And then
Right.
I like how John smooths it over. He goes, "So what if I'm black?" He goes, "I'm not just a black man. I'm a man."
Right.
He goes,
And that's
and
what
I
go ahead.
no. You go on ahead.
Oh, okay. That's another thing I like about the character is that, like you said, he's a suave, very intelligent, very intellectual man. He has books that he's written. Like you said, he's a world-renowned doctor. So it's just not anybody who Joey, the 23-year-old daughter, picks. But what I really like about Joey is that she didn't tell her parents because they didn't raise her like that. She was raised to look at everyone as her equal. So she didn't see the need or feel the need to have to tell her parents, I met this awesome guy, but first he's black. And then let me tell you how awesome he is. Joey goes to her mother and she's just absolutely in love as she's telling her mother about John and how wonderful he is. So yeah, when Sidney Poitier enters the picture, you know, the mother wasn't, she wasn't expecting that, as we find out later, his parents feel the same way, and it's not a so much that they're racist, because this movie's not about it's not a horrible film. It's just about how the parents want to protect their child from society. And that's
Right,
basically what the film is really about. It's society, not so much the well, it's about the family, but they're more concerned about society,
right.
not,
And the way that society depicts them and everything, and the way
especially,
of they're going to be judged, and the kids are going to be
right,
judged because of
right,
the fact they have mixed relations, and also too, those kids are also going to get bullied 10 times harder than any other black kids or
exactly,
white kids combined because they are mixed and everything.
right,
And at first, you're not sure what the intentions are until they actually explain it. Because at first,
yes,
you're thinking maybe it's dealing with, in fact, racism, but it's not.
right,
It's just
right,
that they're looking out for their kids and their best interest and keeping their best interest at heart. But at the same time, the kids want what they want. They're in love.
right,
And it was only a
right.
course of what? How many hours or whatever they said, or 3
Gosh,
days?
they met and fell in love, and they spent 2 weeks with each other
Yep.
in Hawaii. The whole time after they met, it was instant in love from both parties.
Right.
So, Joey's family is a very established family. The mother owns an art gallery. Her dad has his own newspaper that he, from the ground up type of guy. They did well, and John's family, hard workers. They're well off now, but dad had to work 2-3 jobs just to get John to where he is as a black man in the 1960s, which
Exactly.
had to be hard for him to accomplish everything that John accomplished in the 60s and 50s, you know?
Right. Also, too, back then, though, too, black people wanted their best for their kids to have the same education that white people have.
Right,
So, in order for that to happen, they actually had to get these, have like a doctorate degree to make them
right,
stand out. And that's
right.
something that I really loved about the fact that he's a
Yes,
doctor. He stands out from
yes,
society. He's looked
right,
on from a positive angle versus a negative angle because of his popularity. Not only is he popular, but also because of his caring nature and the
right.
way he carries himself
Oh,
and how
yes.
educated he is. And
He's a
also too the right. And the mother's also thinking to herself, "Oh God, how am I supposed to tell my husband about this?" And
yes,
also to keep them happy at the same time. Because women's emotions they go all over the place.
Right.
Men were straightforward, one
Absolutely.
dimensional, and on the way that we're thinking. The mother's like, oh
Right.
God, how am I supposed to do this? We're supposed to have dinner. I'm supposed to cook dinner for them. I'm supposed
Right.
to make sure everything's going on and be happy. I also have to explain to my husband what's going on. And she brought home a black guy and everything. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed
Right.
to act? And it's like all these anxieties, all these emotions all into one thing. And then John is kind of calming her, though,
Yes.
and keeping her relaxed and calm at the same time. He's like, look, I understand the implications that it could have on me, but
Right.
I promise you that she will get the same love and affection from a black man than any white man as well. She can get the same love,
Absolutely.
but I can show her a world of love because I do love your daughter and I care about your daughter deeply. And that broke her to the point
Absolutely.
where she's like, she became more relaxed and she was
Yes.
okay with it up
Well,
until
because I
her
think
right.
Well, I think with John, because if you remember when it starts off, obviously they're coming back from Hawaii, and they only have a few hours that they're going to spend in town in San Francisco where they live, because John has a flight that he has to catch 6 hours later. So they were going to come do a quick dinner, tell mom and dad, I'm going to marry John. What John did, though, was he presented to the parents, to the mother, that, and didn't tell Joey, if I don't get the approval from you both, then, and he tells the parents, and Joey does not know this, I don't have the time, or I don't want to mess up your relationship with Joey. So if I don't get your approval, there will be no marriage, because that's just too much for him to deal with, because Joey and her parents have a wonderful relationship and they did a great job raising her. When you first are introduced to her, it's just love and happiness, and she's just such an independent young woman, a free thinker, who, her parents raised her that way. John the same. So because he put that in there, the whole movie, there's different things going on throughout the whole movie, but we're waiting for really the father's okay. So that's what the movie is revolving around, waiting to see, because, John says to the dad, tell me to my face if you're not happy with this, and I will catch a flight and I'll basically be out of here. It will be no problem. And for the love of Joey, her parents, obviously mom, like you said, emotional, she's in love with Joey being in love, but dad's more straightforward. But I don't think he doesn't want to hurt his daughter. So throughout the whole film, you're waiting for him to say, okay, this is okay.
Exactly.
So you're watching them go through many different emotions, and this is a comedy as well.
It definitely is a comedy. And also, too, I want to mention this because I feel like this is very important for me to talk about, though, too. When the father, he's talking to the father, and he's like, well, it's just too much for me to deal with, and I can catch out a flight. That goes to show the father was also not telling him, okay, you can leave at any time or whatever. He was basically respecting John as a person.
Right.
And be like, if she goes through with this, I could lose my daughter.
Right.
And I could ruin her own happiness. And that's also what he winds up telling his wife too. He said, if I don't say yes, this could be really problematic for me and for all of us.
Right.
But yeah, there is a lot of comedy aspects into this. Also too, I like how the maid how the housekeeper is looking at him with those looks. And he's like, who's that? He goes, oh, that's just our housekeeper. Oh, okay. And he just goes on ahead, and next thing you know it, the housekeeper is just not having it at all. And you would think, because of the fact that she is a black woman who's working for this family, she would be more leaning on his side. But no, she comes off with the protective side as well, which is something that I really do appreciate. The fact is saying, what do you think you're doing?
Right.
Because you're not made for this. I protected this girl. She's like my daughter. and here you come, and you could destroy that whole entire thing of me protecting her, and you could ruin her. Because I know people
Because
like you. Right.
the maid is, she's an older Black woman, and back in that time, they were housekeepers, so she'd been with this family. She raised Joey, that's what Black women did at that time. If they were your housekeeper, they raised their kids to where they had almost more feelings for your kid than their own sometimes, because they're always with your kids. They love them like they're their own, pretty much. Okay. So the maid doesn't know who John is, doesn't know his background, doesn't know anything about him. All she knows is that there's a Black man who's showing up at our house, and he wants to date our daughter, Joey, interracial relationship. And the maid is older. She's like the parents' age. So her generation is like, they don't do that. So being that this is the 60s, it's different. The kids were different back then. They were not afraid to experiment and to date outside their race. So this is new for the maid as well. So she takes that approach to John as looking at him like he's just anybody, just a nobody, not knowing that he's well known. Joey didn't bring just anybody home. This man is well known, and he's a good man. So you see the friction she has, and it's funny the way that she does it, because she has all these little fun remarks that she makes. So it's really funny, but you have to understand her generation and what she went through and what she probably didn't expect to see, because it didn't happen, not that often.
Exactly. And
Yes.
that's something that I really liked, was how protective she was of her.
Right.
And also, too, she starts believing in John later on and starts
Yes.
cracking a little bit. And that's something
Right.
that I really like, because John, like I said, he comes in there like Denzel, being all smooth and everything.
Right.
And he has this business-like feel to him that I really like. And then, of course, John doesn't told his parents that he's dating a white girl. So now, this is what happens. I love this scene. This scene is one of my favorite parts in the movie, though, is where John's inside the study, in the father's study.
Yeah.
He's on the phone. His girlfriend's in there with him. And he's just chilling on the desk like he owns. I like how he just acts like he owns the study. He just lay back. He goes, look, Dad, we can go on ahead and meet later on for dinner, because tonight's not going to be good or anything, because I'm having dinner with my girlfriend's parents. Oh, really? Maybe we should come up. No, you don't have to worry. Everything is fine. Just go on ahead, do what you have to do, because, Mom and everything, she doesn't need to be traveling or anything. I'm not going for verbatim or anything, but, just go in and take care of you guys. It'll be fine. And then here's the girlfriend. Is that your parents? Yeah. Hey, you guys should totally come up here and fly out. Yep. And John's like, that's it. I'm done.
because he didn't tell his parents either. They don't know yet. And Joey didn't know that, you didn't tell your parents about me, that I'm a white woman. So they go to pick up, now that mom and dad basically invited himself, and that was happening. So, I like the scene when they go to the airport, they're going to pick up, John's mom and dad. John's over there talking to his parents, and Joey's, off in the background. And so John's looking over at Joey, talking to his parents, and then Joey walks up. And the look on John's mom and dad's face was the same look that Joey's mom and dad had on their face. Kind of, what the hell? Because they were expecting a Black woman to be there, And one thing I want to mention about John is, Joey is 23 years old. John is 37. He's a widower. And he lost his wife, and he had a young son in a train accident. So he'd already been married, he'd had a kid, and they tragically died. So this would be a woman that probably the first woman he's been with since, seriously, obviously, since his wife and kid died. So that's just a little background on John. So he was with a Black woman before, so parents weren't expecting to see Joey, and she's a very pleasant young lady. but I did like the look the mom and dad kind of gave her, like, oh, what is going on here? Because John's never ever mentioned that to his parents.
No. Oh, my aunt is actually watching. Hey, hey, my aunt Rose. But yeah, love when he told his dad to use color. I see a man. Yeah, that was my favorite scene. To be honest with you, you may see color, but I'm a man. I love
Yes.
that scene.
Yes.
That scene shows from being a little kid to being a grown man now, and he needs to stop looking. He looks at
Absolutely.
himself as a regular man because that's how his dad taught him. His dad taught him to
Exactly.
be just a man, not be a
Yes.
colored man in the world, but be a
Right.
successful man and be a good man. And that's what John is.
Right.
He's a good man.
Right.
And that is something that I really loved about this film. And also, too, in the car, I want to go back into the car for a bit. It's awkward. They're just sitting,
Yes.
and the mother's like, this still face on her. The father's
Right.
the only one that's actually interacting with them, which is actually surprising. I would actually
Yeah.
think it was the mother that would be the one to carry the conversation. But it's
Right.
the opposite. I'm glad they made those characters opposite from each other.
Yes. Right.
That's something I really liked about it. Because you have the mother who's actually talking to John and the daughter. But in
Right.
this one, you have the father interacting with them. So I
Right.
like the father and son aspect to it, and also trying to
Yes.
get to know his girlfriend. The mother has that still face, like, "Oh shit, I don't know what I'm gonna be doing."
You know,
You know? But
the scene I really liked was when John first gets there and the mom and dad knows. There's a scene where Joey and John are out on the patio area in the backyard sitting, and they're sitting there and they're just having this wonderful conversation. And they then show the mom and dad are inside looking out the window at them. And the mom is first standing there, just they're looking at how happy she is and how they're communicating, their body language. And she gets tears in her eyes because you're witnessing love.
and I like
You
that
see love
too.
between the two of them.
Right. And I remember what she said about her daughter. She goes, "You know what? I never knew." She was always a laughing child. Even at
Yeah.
birth, she laughed.
Right.
She always laughed out loud, always had a smile on her face. But you know what? I haven't seen her smile and laugh the way that I see her when she's with him.
Right.
And there's just something about him that she just really loves.
Right.
And that moment, that's also too when the father starts, the walls start coming down a little bit.
Yes.
And that's when he has that sensibility of like, maybe I should give this a chance. Maybe I should ignore the society. Maybe their love is actually enough to conquer whatever fears and anxieties that I have for them.
Right.
And also, too, I like how most of this actually takes place on the patio as they're thinking
Yes.
about things.
Yeah.
It's like a calmness
Absolutely.
of everything. That's something that I really love. The little subtle moments of sitting outside, taking a deep breath, and just
Yeah.
analyzing the stuff that's happening, rather
Yes.
than just let it just keep building and building and building, just like they did on Guess Who. But Guess
Right.
Who, Bernie Mac was just harping on everything over and
Right.
over and over again. Even with the white songs that were being played over the radio and stuff like that.
Right.
I haven't seen that movie in years, but there's certain things that I still remember from that film.
Okay.
I remember that, and also the jokes that were told at the dinner table, which made me feel uncomfortable because I
Right.
know people like that in the society and stuff like that, especially being down south. Yet not saying that there's no racist people up north or anything, but
No,
it's
but I get
just
you. Yeah.
right. But that made me feel unsettled, and then also too hearing the songs being played over the radio also made me have this sense of unsettlement as well.
Right.
And I'm like, this movie doesn't make me laugh. This movie doesn't do anything. It makes me uncomfortable. With this one,
Right.
you're able to take a little bit of a break from the things that they're going through.
Yeah.
They go out to the patio, they're thinking things through,
Yes.
and then that's when they come to the finalization of them having their blessing in a sense. But also, too, I like how the priest comes in and now is involved.
Yes. Right.
Because now they bring in the
Yes.
priest to get an idea of a Christian's viewpoint of things and
Right.
not just their bird's eye angle view, which is something
Right.
I like. Because, I married mixed couples before, and they do 10 times better than regular white couples do
Right.
and everything. So it just depends on the both people if they actually want what they want. And so
Disap-
now, right.
Yeah,
Uh,
the priest that comes in, the Monsignor, when he comes in, remember when he comes in, Joey introduces him to John. It's not a thing to him, you know, and he's older than all of them, you know, but it's just not a thing, you know, to him. It's not a big deal. He likes John. He meets John. He's very close with Joey's family. He's also, you know, have seen Joey grow up. So, you know, close family friends. So, you know, the whole guess who's coming to dinner, you know, it's a number of people that end up, you know, coming over for dinner. You know, it's supposed to be just, it was originally supposed to be Joey, her man, and then it ends up being John. Okay, they have to
right.
deal with John being black. Then a Monsignor comes over. You know, he invites himself. They stay over for dinner. Then, you know, John's parents ends up coming over. You know, so it's an array of people that's involved in this story that will eventually all have dinner together. But that patio that they use, the outside backyard, that, you know, you'll see, you know, the scene where John's mother and Joey's father are outside and they're talking. And she makes a good point saying that what is it about men that when they get older and they grow old, they forget how to love, they forget what that is. And she makes them think about that, because that's very true. You know, they tend to do forget about that, because like you said, they're just, it's like this, you know, women, we're very emotional, and we love, we love being in love. Not saying men
True.
don't, but as men get older, they tend to be like that. And so John's mother, you know, brings that up to, you know, Joey's father, you know, which I think was what made him really think about that. Because when John, if you remember, when John and his dad have that conflict, you know, that's another scene that was an awesome scene, because, you know, he respects his dad, he respects his mother, yes sir, no sir, and he had to stand up to his dad to let his dad know, basically, you know, your generation just wants it to be the same. You guys don't want to do anything. You want everything to be the same. My generation wants to break barriers. And
Yeah.
I am a man, and I'm going to do what I want to do. You do not own me. And, you know, the father tells John, you know, listen, I broke my back. I did, you know, I mowed lawns. Your mother went without, you know, certain coats that she wanted, you know, to have a simple coat because we wanted to give you everything. And John puts him in his place and lets him know, you brought me into this world. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't owe you for that. I owe you nothing but to be a good son and, you know, be good to you and be a good person. But you don't own me, you know,
Oh,
so you can't tell me what I am or I'm not going to do. And that scene was just so awesome. It was such an awesome scene, because we kids go through that with our parents. You know, they do a lot for us to get us to where we are, and they kind of, you know, overstep their bounds, you know, their boundaries sometimes with us,
that's true.
you know.
Because they still
So,
see us as a little
you know,
kid.
absolutely,
Everything.
and they want the best for us,
Exactly. They
you
want,
know.
right. They want the very best for us. And sometimes it's hard as an adult to actually see that, because of the
Right,
fact that we're grown and we think that we know the world, but, you know, in a sense we don't, but yet they still try to guide us. But it's up
right,
to us to make those decisions. And what I like about what the father is doing, he goes, okay, so if this is what you want, I won't
right,
intervene. I'll give you what you want. But have you known that there's implications and behind this?
right,
People in society is gonna look down on you. People in
right,
society is gonna bully you. People in
right,
society are not gonna you're not gonna be looked upon or anything like that. Your
right.
image is gonna be gone. Everything that you created might be gone because
Yeah,
of the fact of that. Are you willing to take that risk? And just seeing the little look and gleam in his eyes and
yeah,
everything, I can tell she's worth the risk.
absolutely, right.
And I love that. And so happens to be, and that's also when we wrap up with the movie and everything, where finally they're like, you know what, are we gonna have dinner or not?
Yeah,
Because at
and
that
yeah,
moment they're just ready to eat.
right. And John's, you know, Joey's dad. Remember, he does. They are waiting for that answer, you know, and so he does this great speech, you know, to he brings in everyone, to talk to them, to let them know what he thinks. And he makes a point telling them, you're worried about what I'm going to think, what this person's going to think. Really, it's not up to us.
Right.
You two are going to do what you want to do. So basically, you have my blessing, but it's not, you came here asking for permission when you didn't have to.
Exactly. And that's something
You didn't
that,
have to.
right. And also too, the father also says, look, it may be okay with us, but society is a whole new game. You have
Right.
over 1 billion people in this world.
Right.
We're okay with it. But the rest of the world, they're not going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
You're going to have to accept that. Are you ready to accept that? Can you handle that pressure?
Right.
And of course, John says, yes, I can handle that.
Yeah.
Let me do what I want to do and be happy.
Right.
And that's, of course.
Yes. So, the movie as a whole, great movie. Great for what's going on today, in society, I believe that we absolutely have it much better and don't have to deal with that. Those of us who are in interracial relationships, as I am, I don't know how it would feel to be in the 60s and go through that. I couldn't imagine, because I'm sure it was, you see news stories, it was hard. So what we have to deal with today, you still have people out there, but it's not as bad as it was, what
No.
they would have to go through,
Right.
and the
Exactly.
society at that time. Yeah. From both sides.
Exactly. But yeah,
Yes.
I'm
But this movie
glad.
was about love.
Yes. Another thing I want to say too is, Rossie, thank you for introducing me to this film. Because when Sidney passed away, I was listening to another podcast, and the one movie that he recommended was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I was like, well, I never saw that movie. Then I'm like, I don't know who, I know of Sidney Poitier, but I don't know him in his filmography. So
Right.
doing the spotlight for Black History Month and everything definitely helped. And also, too, we're spotlighting him 2 more times, and then we'll wrap up with his spotlighting. But this is going to be a new segment, just letting people know. This is called Movie Lover Spotlight. We'll go on ahead. We'll do matter of fact, we'll do a small filmography review, talk about the person's film career, if the person died, honoring them for the things that they've done, even if they didn't pass away. We're still going to do some kind of spotlight.
Right.
So that's our way of actually paying tribute to Sidney and the things that he's done in his filmography. But I just want to say thank you for introducing me to this film. I'm so glad that I finally got to see the original one and not that horrible Ashton Kutcher one. Because don't get me wrong, I love Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, absolutely.
But here's the thing. John had that swag of going in.
Right.
And getting to know and everything. Ashton Kutcher was this wild, on top of everything.
Right.
Very extreme, hyperactive character,
right,
versus that calm level character. Because whenever Ashton Kutcher doesn't get his way, he goes wild and out. With Sidney's character, he's calm, he's collect. And I know this might be 2 different character names, but still, you can have a little bit of the Sidney in that character to make us care about him. This one, it was so much smoother, so much well done. To be honest with you, to actually get through. I saw the whole thing of Guess Who. I remember aspects of the film. I remember the go-kart stuff and things like that.
Right.
But am I going to go back and revisit it? Absolutely no, not. And most people will actually make that their go-to because it's a remake. This is my first time experiencing the original. I'd rather the original over the remake. And that's
absolutely. Absolutely. And just to let everyone know, this film was directed by Stanley Kramer. The opening song, which is a beautiful song, The Glory of Love. So the way the film opens up, it draws you into the film. It's an hour and 48 or some odd minutes long. It's not a long film.
No, it's actually not.
And it's just a really good film. And seeing Sidney Poitier, he's a great comedic actor, but like I was telling you earlier, you see the sophistication with his acting in every film that he does. You see that. And I just always have looked up to him and thought he was just a great actor and someone that If you're an actor, you should know him, and you should know his films.
I'm glad I'm getting to know his films, to be honest,
Right,
because
right, right,
I know of him, but I didn't know him
right,
on the level of the filmographies go. So
right,
it's just good now to actually have context behind the man, the legend, the person that did this movie, acted in this movie. Also, too, I want to bring up the fact that this budget was $4 million. It made
yes,
56.7 million at the box office. For that
yes,
time, that was actually called a success.
yes,
Today, it would actually be called a bomb because of the
right,
fact with movie budgets and everything, because you need at least 250 million for a budget, and then you also have to go ahead and make sure that your PR is behind you. And also,
right,
too, movie theaters don't make that much money. They only take in a third of what they make, and the rest is all concessions, which is why you see the
right,
jack up prices. So the rest
right,
goes over to the box office. So it wouldn't even been broken even probably. So
right,
this was actually a success in those times in 1967.
yes.
My aunt says the couple are willing to stand together and deal with what comes their way because their love is stronger than anything it is. So touching and romantic, so heartfelt, just can't remake like the 1967. Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so true.
But
Definitely.
uh, but as far as this film goes, it's perfect. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're
With that
welcome.
being with that being said, Rossi, where can everybody follow you at? I know this is a little bit of a well, this movie's not that long, so therefore it's
No,
not
it's
that.
not. Right.
So this is actually perfect for this type of review. But where can everybody follow you at on your social medias?
Well, you can follow me on Instagram at Mccree123 hotmail.com. That's MCCREE hotmail.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Rossie Lynn Bark 1, ROSSIE BARQ 1, and on my Facebook page at Rossie Lynn.
Okay. And to answer Brandy's question, yes, we can. We can watch this movie over the weekend. So
Nice.
So yeah. So guys, tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time, I'm going to be interviewing Dean Simone, the actor who played in Game Day. If you don't know what Game Day is, check out mine and Alex's review for Game Day. Alex will be joining me for Game Day. Not Game Day, but for the interview with Dean Simone from Game Day. But you can rent that movie for like $4 if you want to show support towards independent actors and directors, and all proceeds probably go to the next projects that whatever they work on. But
Right.
go on ahead, support them. Also, to uh, Monday, to be honest with you, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break throughout the week. I might just do maybe one show at Rossi and that's it, and then maybe do one little small teaser. I'm not going to tell you what that is, but at 9 o'clock Central Time, no, 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, matter of fact, Charlie will be doing a review of Jackass Forever,
Oh,
and him and Alex are going to be doing that one. Then
nice.
Thursday night at the same time, they're going to be doing their Raid Redemption review from 2012. So going ahead, if you like martial arts, if you like just laughing your ass off at Jackass and all that stuff, go ahead and check out that review on Monday and everything. My aunt says this: To Serve with Love is another good movie to watch that he made. Yeah, I'm gonna have to
Oh,
check
yeah,
that one out too.
absolutely. Right. That was a
This is
really
not
good
the
one.
end of this is not the end of the filmography for
No.
Sydney, so stick around.
Yes.
So another thing too is if you guys want to go ahead and follow me underneath Facebook, underneath Movie Lovers TV Lovers Night over there, underneath the same brand name, of course, on Instagram and on Pinterest as well. If you would like to also get an audio only podcast of our episode, you guys can find that wherever you guys get your podcast from. And also too, we're also on all main big platforms, so you guys can find us wherever you guys get your podcast. But most of all, do us this big favor. If you're someone that just listens to podcasts, rate individual episodes and also comment on individual episodes. That also helps people rank us and all that stuff too, to be able to find us. And also too, it gives me a chance to interact with you guys to let us know how well we're doing. And then, of course, I also teamed up with Tubular Girls Podcast, and we're doing a little bit of a charity event for Children's of St. Jude's Hospital. Get yourself a Sensi, spend $5 to $10, get yourself a Sensi. All proceeds go over to the Children of St. Jude's Hospital. But if you'd like to go ahead and donate to the channel, all you have to do is go to GoFundMe.com/Movie Lovers Podcast, donate $5 to $10 over there. But just simply smashing that subscribe button, smashing that bell in the bottom right-hand corner to allow you guys to know when we have something new up and everything. That goes a long way here at Movie Lovers Unite, and also to clicking that like button. And then, of course, you guys can also find me on Movie Lovers Unit on Twitter, Movie Lovers Unit 0 on TikTok. And then also, too, if you want our sponsor or would like to be on the show, just go ahead and reach out to me at movieloversunite@gmail.com. That's everywhere that you can reach me at. And once again, don't forget about us interviewing Dean Simone tomorrow night at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific Time. Thanks again, Rossie. I do appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you to my aunt. Thank you to Brandy. Thank you to Tanya and everybody else in the comment section tonight. You guys have been great. Always until next time, guys. It's been real. It's been fun. Can't wait to do this again. And